Hi, we're Charlie and Barb Asher, and we're here to talk about something we think is really important in the difficult business of separation and divorce, and that is to clear the ground of the 9 myths that can entrap you.
And the beginning is myth 1, that divorce is a competition. Sometimes some parents think that that one of the parents has to win, one of the parents has to lose, or maybe that one has to be the better parent, that the children will choose who's going to be the better parent between the two. And the reality is what, Charlie?
The reality is parents win together or they lose together. If they give their kids a good place to live their one and only childhood, both parents are going to win. If they destroy the kid's childhood by this war, competition, conflict between them, they're both going to lose. But they're going to get the same grade. And it's not just parents' feelings. It can be the language of the law. It can be friends. It can be the conflict that we love in our society that pushes us this wrong way.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be the better parent, because children need both of you to be the best parent of all. It's not a competition.
Okay, myth 2, we have legal problems. Almost none of the issues that separated and divorced parents face happen to be legal issues. Whether the kids are going to be picked up at 6 o'clock or at 7 o'clock, not a legal issue. Where the kids are going to go to school, not a legal issue. All these things that are in court, there are almost no legal issues.
They're emotional issues.
They're emotional issues and parenting issues.
Yes.
So if you misunderstand the nature of the issue, you're almost always going to come to the wrong conclusion and a lot of conflict.
Myth 3, we have a custody dispute. You know, Charlie, almost nobody has a custody dispute.
Yeah, you know, almost everybody that we see in mediation, that we talk to in classes who says, I have a custody dispute, it's almost never true. Please understand, custody refers to 2 things. Legal custody means who's going to be making the major decisions in the kids' lives, what medical care they get, where they go to school, things of that sort. We would hope that parents would work to the point that they can make those decisions together, or what most jurisdictions call joint legal custody. So they make the decisions the same way they would make them if they were still married. The other thing that the law calls custody is physical custody. That's simply the schedule that the children are on to give them regular, ongoing, continuing contact with both parents, quality contact that we hope both parents will support. But almost nobody really has a custody dispute.
Just because you have challenges with scheduling issues or parenting time doesn't mean that you have a custody dispute.
Exactly. You have scheduling issues whether you're together or you're apart. But those are things for parents to work out, not to turn into a legal issue. Myth 4, the judge will solve the problem. This is a big one, and people simply must learn. Look at the couples that you've seen gone to court. How many of them left court feeling better about each other, working better together, or with their families in better shape for the experience of having been there? Almost none of them. The judge can decide one issue, but in the process you will have done so much damage to your relationship that the thousands of issues that will be coming up will be even a greater challenge to you.
Remember, these are parenting issues, so just because you have parenting issues doesn't mean that you need to appeal to a higher authority. As parents, you can decide these issues between yourselves. Myth 5, this is complicated. Actually, divorce presents huge emotional challenges for many families and many parents, but the actual divorce itself doesn't have to be complicated.
No, the more that parents can use maybe just 2 sites to guide them, 2 guides. One is, let's do what's best for the kids rather than stay embroiled in our fight with each other. And 2, let's build a better future rather than litigate or argue over who was responsible for the past. The better off they're going to be. So it's an emotionally taxing thing, but the simpler you can keep it, stay away from legal complexities, stay away from all the other complexities, the better off you're going to be.
And by focusing on your children's needs, oftentimes those emotional issues will then resolve.
Myth 6, to protect my children, I must fight. We can be very brief about this one because by this time everyone should know the fight is what's killing the children. To say that you're fighting, carrying out a fight, and that's going to save the children, it's a huge mistake. Please never try to justify a fight on the grounds that it's helping the kids.
Children don't need that fight. They need you as parents to cooperate and bring peace to the family. Myth 7, focusing on my children will hurt me. Well, again, as we were saying so often during this little bit, is that actually focusing on your children will not only help the children, it will help your healing as well.
Pat Brown, a lawyer and counselor in Indiana, has a wonderful saying that if parents will agree on one thing, they'll agree on everything. If that one thing is, what do we want our kids to look like when they're 25? Look at how that helps parents. If they will focus on their children's needs, that's where the parents will find their own healing and their new partnership.
Myth 8, I'm not sad, I'm mad. Well, of course you're mad, but I think that oftentimes the anger is a way to cover up sometimes some very deep sadness and deep hurt. And oftentimes families or parents, rather than addressing that sadness, would just prefer to get angry instead.
Right, and some good counseling and some honesty with ourselves that, look, I'm losing a lot. I'm losing this person I had a dream of growing old with. I'm losing regular contact with my kids, losing a lot of my financial security. We have deep hurt and worry over that. If we deal with that honestly rather than to try to turn it into a fight, we're going to be much better off. And finally, myth 9, we'll have no relationship. This is a terrible mistake that some parents make, to think, well, we're done with our personal relationship, we're done with our marriage, so been there, done that, and it's over. Well, obviously it's not. The quality of the relationship that you have as co-parents is going to be absolutely vital. It's the most important thing, probably, to help yourself and your children through this trauma of the family crisis, but it's important even beyond that.
Right, the relationship, the importance of your relationship to the children lasts beyond when they're 18 years old. There's weddings, there's being grandparents together, it goes on. And regardless of how old your children are, whether they're 5 or 6 or 25 or even 30, it's going to be important to them that the two of you get along.
And people who are watching now fall into 2 categories. Most are in a category that their personal relationship, their marriage relationship is coming to an end, and they must accept that. Even if you want the marriage to go on, you can't make somebody stay with you, and you need to accept if your co-parent is saying, I'm done with the marriage, you need to accept that, work on your grieving, work on your success personally. For a smaller number of you, you may wish to work, if you're both in agreement on this, on saving your personal relationship and your marriage, but remember, it takes both of you.
Remember, it takes both. You can't stay in a marital relationship if one person does not want that to happen.
In either case, remember that the quality of restraint and courtesy and cooperation that you bring to your relationship is going to be important to you and to your children. Well, there you have them, 9 myths that can really trip up a lot of people, and are a lot of the reason that people who should not be in such prolonged conflict or so much legal conflict really find themselves caught there. There's a longer article about this. It's a video article, again, on the Parents Corner link of Up to Parents. Please take a look at it if you'd like any further explanation of these points.
Right. Check it out. I think you'll find it very enlightening.